Isn't this fun diving into labor on Labor Day weekends? We've heard so many different kinds of labor, and I'm going to lift up a few more. These are labors, some are welcome, that we look forward to, that we enjoy, that give our lives meaning. Some are neutral, you know, it's labor, it's neither here nor there. And some we know are harmful. There are labor practices that put people at risk, that are unfair and unjust, or even unkind. There's labor that is unwanted and unasked for, that is isolating, and even labor that diminishes our very humanity. And we need to acknowledge these harmful forms of labor. In the neutral category, some of our labor is just boring. It's tedious. It's not really what we want to be doing. It's tolerable, necessary even, but eh, whatever. Thankfully, there's also labor. This is the labor that Amy lifted up and Craig lifted up. This is labor that teaches us new skills. It grows our leadership, increases our capabilities, labor that makes us proud, that energizes us, that draws us together, and even, as we've said, labor that looks like play. And that's why I'm so glad that today on Labor Day weekend is a community Sunday, a multi-generational service where we are invited to consider labor from many dimensions and across all the ages. The laboring of babies and young children, of teenagers. Oh, are they laboring, just getting through those years of teenagedom? Those who are just crossing the threshold into adulthood, those laboring in the swath of middle age, and elders in the twilight of your life. Today, let us bring to our minds all of the magnificent and challenging ways that we labor and play and fill our days. The poet David Whyte wrote that the antidote to exhaustion is not necessarily rest, it's wholeheartedness. So I want to spend just a few minutes reflecting on labor as prayer. I can think of few people more wholehearted than the Indigenous women that I met while working the last few years at Minnesota Interfaith Power and Light, a faith-based climate justice organization. I met these women while we were fighting against Line 3, which is a tar sands pipeline that was built across northern Minnesota and an expanse of 200 and some waterways and our indigenous reservations that are in northern Minnesota. These women, Sharon Day and Dawn Goodwin and Gina Peltier and grandmother Mary Lyons, just to name a few, and using their English names. These are the women that inspired me to really think about labor in new ways. In August of 2021, I had the gift of supporting the Treaty People Walk. It's departed from the headwaters of the Mississippi in Itasca State Park and made its way to the Minnesota State Capitol. 19 days, people walked 256 miles. This is what is called a NIBI, N-I-B-I, a NIBI or water walk. NIBI walks are Indigenous-led, extended ceremonies to pray for the water. They're open to all people, Indigenous and non. The organizers of these annual walks remind us that every step is taken in prayer and in gratitude. It is not a protest. We walk for the water, and as we heal the water, we heal all of life. The people, the walk, their labor, their wholeheartedness, their presence is a prayer. One protocol during these walks is not to move backwards anywhere along the route. You want your energy to be carried forward. On the last day of this 2021 Treaty People Walk, I, along with hundreds of other people of faith and spirituality, joined more than 2,000 water protectors for the last mile and a half from St. Paul leading up to the grounds of the Minnesota State Capitol building. During these 1.5 miles, we walked silently. We wore orange to commemorate missing and murdered Indigenous children. And we carried signs uplifting our shared commitment to stopping all fossil fuel projects. Despite 10 years of efforts, including nonviolent direct action, lawsuits, rallies, marches, petitions, calls, and this NIBI walk, the Line 3 pipeline was built. But we don't move backwards. The fight continues against all pipelines, including the Line 5 pipeline expansion here in Wisconsin. We continue to pray and labor for the water. The next NIBI walk starts tomorrow and goes through September 5th. It is 144 miles, a little bit shorter, follows most of the St. Croix River, starting at the St. Croix Florage or Gordon Dam in Gordon, Wisconsin. And I meant to look up Gordon, Wisconsin. I don't think that's that far away from here, is it? Like an hour. Maybe you'll join the NIBI walk. But even if we can't join this week's Walk for Water, maybe we can bring some of its ethos of resistance and overcoming, its power of community, its practice of prayer or mindfulness into our own ways of laboring. No matter what we each as individuals or collectively may be laboring for or laboring in, we can choose to bring wholeheartedness to the forefront. We can choose to carry love at the center of our work and our play. So today, here in this church, on this beautiful Community Sunday of Labor Day weekend, let's close out our understanding of labor by singing together. We're going to sing the Hammer Song, written by Pete Seeger and Lee Hayes. And before you get all going here, hold that thought for just one moment, because I want to set the stage for why we're singing this song. And it's a recollection that Seeger put in his autobiography, How Can I Keep From Singing? Because this song at the time in that 1949, it was controversial. So as Seeger wrote, back in 1949, only, in his words, commies used words like peace and freedom. The message was that we got tools and we are going to succeed. And this is what a lot of spirituals say: we will overcome. I have a hammer. The last verse didn't say, but there ain't no hammer, there ain't no bell, there ain't no song. But honey, I got you. We could have said that. The last verse says, I have a hammer and I have a bell and I have a song. Here it is. It is the hammer of justice. It's the bell of freedom. It's the song of love. No one could take these away. No one can take our prayers away, our wholeheartedness away. No one can diminish the care and commitment and joy that we bring in our work for justice and equity, for fair laboring, and for abundant rest that everybody across this land deserves.